The CEO sat alone in the dark church. Christmas Eve, empty pews, a heart heavier than any boardroom failure. Then a small voice broke the silence. "Don't cry, mister. You can borrow my mom." He looked down. A little girl was standing there holding a paper angel. What happened next would change his life forever. Stay until the end, because sometimes hope arrives in the smallest voice you least expect. Ethan Blake had everything the world praised. Corner office. Private jet. Global influence. As CEO of a billion-dollar company, he was admired, feared, and obeyed. But on Christmas Eve, none of that mattered. Because for the first time in his life, Ethan Blake was completely alone. Ethan didn't believe in churches anymore. Not after the year he'd had. His wife had died 12 months earlier. Cancer, quick, cruel. She was gone before he learned how to grieve. And tonight, Christmas Eve, was their anniversary. The church had been her favorite place. So he came not to pray, but to remember. Candles flickered. Carols echoed faintly from outside. Families laughed in the distance. Ethan sat in the back pew, suit wrinkled, eyes hollow. He stared at the altar, and finally let the tears fall. No assistants, no cameras, no expectations, just grief. That's when he heard footsteps. Soft, careful. Ethan wiped his eyes quickly. A little girl, no older than 6, and stood a few feet away. She wore a red coat, boots too big, hair tied with uneven ribbons. She tilted her head. "Mister," she said gently, "you're crying." Ethan forced a smile. "I'm okay," he said. She shook her head. "No, you're not." Before Ethan could respond, she stepped closer. "My mom says when people cry they need someone," she said seriously. Then she held up her paper angel. "Don't cry, mister," she said. "You can borrow my mom." Ethan froze. "Borrow her mom?" A woman rushed down the aisle. "Oh my goodness, I'm so sorry," she said, embarrassed. "She wanders." She gently pulled the girl back. "I'm Emily," the woman said softly. "My daughter's name is Lily." Ethan nodded. "I'm Ethan," he replied. Emily noticed his red eyes. She hesitated. "I'm sorry," she said. "Christmas can be heavy." Ethan exhaled. "That's one word for it." Lily tugged her mother's hand. "Mommy," she whispered loudly, "he's sad." Emily smiled apologetically. "She has a habit of helping strangers," she said. Ethan surprised himself by laughing quietly. "That's a good habit." Emily glanced at the empty pew beside him. "We were going to light candles," she said. "You're welcome to join us if you'd like." Ethan almost refused. Almost. But something in Lily's hopeful eyes stopped him. "I'd like that," he said. They lit candles together. Lily hummed a carol softly. Emily watched Ethan with quiet kindness, no pity, no questions, just presence. And for the first time in a year, Ethan felt warm. Ethan Blake didn't come to church looking for comfort, but a little girl had just offered him something priceless. And this was only the beginning. Snow had started falling by the time the service ended. Soft quiet, the kind that muffles the world. Ethan, Emily, and Lily stepped outside together, candles glowing in the cold. Lily skipped ahead. "See?" she said proudly. "Snow comes when people are nice." Ethan smiled despite himself. "Then I'm glad you were nice to me." Emily hesitated near the steps. "We're going home to make cocoa," she said. "My sister canceled, so it's just us." She glanced at Ethan. "If you don't have anywhere to be, you're welcome to join." Ethan felt the familiar instinct to decline. Boardroom rules, boundaries. But this wasn't a boardroom. "I don't," he said quietly. "Anywhere to be." Emily's apartment was small but warm. Mismatched furniture, handmade decorations. A tiny Christmas tree leaning slightly to one side. Lily kicked off her boots. "Borrow my mom," she announced happily. Emily laughed. "I think you already did," she told Ethan. They sat at the kitchen table. Steam rose from mugs of cocoa. "So," Emily said gently, "what brings you to church on Christmas Eve?" Ethan stared into his cup. "My wife," he said. "She loved it there." Emily nodded. "I'm sorry." Those 2 words hit harder than any speech. "She died last year," Ethan continued. "And everyone expects me to be fine." Lily looked up. "My daddy went away," she said simply. "But Mommy says sad doesn't mean broken." Emily squeezed her hand. Ethan asked, "And Lily's father?" Emily smiled faintly. "He left when she was 2, she said. Chose something easier." Ethan recognized the tone. Not bitter, just honest. "You're doing great," he said. Emily shrugged. "We try." Lily dragged out a board game. "You play," she insisted. Ethan hadn't played a board game in decades. He lost badly, and laughed harder than he had in years. Emily studied him quietly. You don't feel like a man who's alone, she said. You feel like someone who forgot how to be with people. Ethan looked at her, surprised. That accurate? She nodded. Pain does that. Ethan's phone buzzed. Emails, board alerts. He turned it face down. Emily noticed. Hard decision? She asked. No, he said. Easy one. Later, Lily fell asleep on the couch. Emily covered her with a blanket. Ethan watched the scene, heart aching. This, he said softly, is what I lost. Emily met his gaze. No, she said. This is what you forgot you still deserve. Lily stirred, half asleep. Mister, she murmured. Yes, sweetheart. You can borrow my mom tomorrow, too, she said. Ethan smiled. I'd like that. Emily laughed quietly. Careful, she warned. She means it. Christmas Eve ended not with loneliness, but with borrowed warmth. And as dawn approached, Ethan Blake stood at the edge of a choice that would change everything. Sunlight crept through thin curtains. Ethan woke on the couch, confused for a moment. Then he heard laughter, small, bright, unguarded. For the first time in years, he wasn't waking up to silence. Lily danced into the room wearing mismatched socks. Merry Christmas, she shouted. Emily followed, holding a tray of toast and eggs. We don't do anything fancy, she said apologetically. Ethan smiled. It's perfect. They ate together. No speeches, no schedules, just presents. As Lily played with her toys, Emily turned to Ethan. You don't have to come back after today, she said gently. She gets attached. Ethan nodded. I understand, he paused. But I don't want this to end either. Emily studied him carefully. Why? Ethan took a breath. Because for the first time since my wife died, I feel like myself again. Ethan stood up. I've built companies, negotiated deals, bought time, he said. But none of that prepared me for grief. Emily listened quietly. I don't need saving, she said. I know, Ethan replied. That's why I'm asking, not offering. He knelt in front of Lily. May I borrow your mom again? He asked softly. For real this time. Lily beamed. Yes. Emily laughed through tears. They didn't rush. They didn't announce. They let time do its work. Ethan stepped back from the noise of his empire. He visited more, listened more, lived more. Emily kept her life. Her job, her strength. They met in the middle. A year later, Ethan funded a community program. Not in his name, in Lily's. It helped single parents and grieving families find support, not charity. Connection. One Christmas Eve later, the church was full. Candles glowing, families singing. Ethan sat between Emily and Lily. Lily whispered, smiling. See, borrowing worked. Ethan squeezed her hand. Yes, he said softly, it did. Sometimes love doesn't arrive loudly. Sometimes it kneels beside you and offers you a family, one borrowed moment at a time.